On today's video, I'm going to be cutting out the fretboard, head, and neck for the custom bass I'm building. And I'm doing it in my garage without a fancy luthier shop or even the proper tools. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is get my fretboard tapered down to the right width. And I'm going to use that kind of as my template to get my neck tapered down to the right width. So the first thing I got to do is I got my little paper pattern that I made here of the bass in the first video, about I think 7 videos now in this series. But anyways, what I'm going to do is take my the neck fretboard portion of this template off, and I'm going to measure it up at the nut, and I'm going to measure it somewhere down here for width, and then I'm going to put those corresponding widths centered on this center line that I've got drawn here on the fretboard, and then cut this out. Okay, so now I got my outside width of my nut marked, as well as my outside width on my body joint fret, which is not really showing up too good on camera, but believe me, it's there. What I'm going to do is take a straight edge. Again, this level has a straight edge on it, and I'm going to join each of these lines all the way down the length of the fretboard, and it's going to give us our width taper. Okay, so now you can see I have my width taper marked out on the fretboard. It gets kind of hard to see as you get down to the bottom, but hopefully you can see that. So now the next step is to cut this out. Okay, so we got a few choices about how we can cut this fretboard taper out. Most normal people would probably use a bandsaw. Well, because I don't have a bandsaw, I do have still a couple options. I could probably use my jigsaw. I think what I'm going to do is take a little bit more of a gentler approach and actually use my coping saw. I'm just putting a little tape here because my clamp is missing the little rubber thing that one's got there, so I just don't want to destroy my fretboard. Hopefully the tape is enough to protect it. We'll find out. Okay, so I got my coping saw here. Ooh, the blade is dirty. Anyways, I've turned the blade 90 degrees so I can make my cut, and the throat of the saw is not gonna get in my way. I gotta be honest, I don't think I got the patience to be using this coping saw. So what I got here is my jigsaw, and I'm gonna try using my finest blade, which is a metal blade. Hopefully a metal blade works good for ebony. Okay, so that basically worked. There's a pretty wobbly line, but I'm gonna sand this flat and smooth. So I'm not too worried about that. It's kind of annoying, but it's an annoying situation working in this shop, so it's nothing new to me. Okay, so now I got that basically cut out. Very wobbly. I'm gonna get my screen door sanding block back here, and we're just gonna sand it perfectly to the line. Okay, so we got the width taper done on our fretboard. So the next thing we got to do is put this onto our neck. I'm just saving some of this ebony dust because it may come handy in the future. So I brought the neck back here. Now the next thing we're going to do is just put this fretboard on and trace out the shape of our taper. We're also going to put our headstock pattern on and trace that out, and then we're going to cut them out. Okay, so there we go. We got our rough shape of our neck cut out. How cool is that? Alright, so I just want to show a bit of a close-up of how it's looking now. Now that we got it cut out, I still have to sand it down to the line, but It's looking a lot more like a base neck, less like a insane piece of crap. So yeah, pretty stoked about that. Okay, so what I got here is a drill press, and I picked up some of these weird flap wheel drum things, and what I've done is I've put one into the chuck of the drill press, and I made this wood piece that has a hole in it about the diameter of the drum. I just got it clamped onto the drill press, and I'm going to use this as kind of a makeshift sander to help me sand down the rounded shapes, maybe even all the shapes on the headstock. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll even use it on the neck. Who knows? Ideally, you would have an oscillating sander that goes up and down for this, but all I got is this drill press. So yeah, we're gonna see how this works. So that actually worked really good for getting this headstock shaped. I still have a little bit of shaping to do once I get the neck down to its final width. Just, you know, feathering it into the headstock, but overall it turned out pretty good. The next thing I got to do though is get my neck you know, down to the width of the fretboard. Okay, so what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to temporarily glue this fretboard on here. So currently I have it lined up on the center line of the neck, and what I'm going to do is I've got two 1/16 inch drill bits here, and I'm going to, in the fret slot at this end of the neck, drill one in. The fret wire will hide this once the frets are installed, so I'm going to put one up here. I'm going to put another one down here, and these will act as locating pins for my fretboard. So when I glue it, it'll be perfectly lined up. So now that I have my fretboard located, you can see I've covered these surfaces with some blue tape. So what I'm going to do is just put a couple of spots of super glue, not too much, and then just glue these two together, and then that will help me in shaping the neck down. Okay, so now this fretboard is temporarily glued on here. I'm gonna go back to the drill press and keep sanding it. Okay, so unfortunately my recording light has died again. So I've got this as close to the line. The head I think I'm done with, but I've got the neck as close to the line as I feel comfortable with that weird drum sander setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand to the rest of the line with a sanding block, and I'll jump in at the end when that's done to show what it looks like. All right, so this is it. This is how it turned out. And I gotta be honest, I'm really stoked about it. I'm really happy that those flap disc drums worked. They did a great job. All right, that's it for this video. Things turned out pretty good if you ask me. In the next video, I'll be finishing up shaping this neck. That means I'll be carving the back side of the neck, carving the heel, and making the neck tenon. So if you found that interesting and want to see how this build turns out, make sure to subscribe. And if you're still watching, do me a favor, leave a like or comment. Until next week, talk to you later.